Welcome to your reading. Thank you everybody who's been liking, subscribing. Lovers. The lovers. So there's a either connection, romantic connection, people together, people celebrating, being together, supporting each other, enjoying each other's company. This is also if it's not a relationship currently, it's like a potential for a relationship or potential for partnership or potential for close connections, close intimate bonds. Three of Wands. The lovers, the Three of Wands, like having balance between 1 and 2 and then moving off and going into number 3. So it's like a person's taking their direction, taking their action in a way to keep up the momentum of creativity. So it's like they have this and they have that. They have stability, they have it settled. It's like they have more than one thing that they do that they enjoy, or more than one thing that they do that grounds them, or more than one thing. And they're looking into another direction, like wanting to go this way now, having these things established and these things settled down. They could be motivated by that lover's energy to branch out and try something new, or branch out and take a new risk. Either they're motivated by their partner, or they're motivated by the potential of there being that kind of connection in the future for them. And this is what's taking them that way. 8 of Wands, and that's very, very quickly. So this is like a quick motivation, very, very fast motion. Someone maybe got, like I said, encouraged by their lover or inspired by the potential of being in a connection like that. So they are moving forward with their creative aspects and branching out very quickly. Or this is happening very, very quickly. They're not hesitating. It's like they're not hesitating in the Three of Wands. They're not, oh, if I go over here and I do this, then I can't do this anymore. Or if I go over here and do this, what will happen to those things? That's not what they're concerned about. They're knowing, like, it's like they're having faith that they know that those things that they have that are inspiring and provide them with a sense of like being alive, those things will be there still when they go branch off to this other thing. And they're all sort of together in one thing. So they can sort of combine all 3 of their passions, basically, into one passion. And sort of like do different aspects of that in different times. But all still sort of be working towards the same basic thing. Because they could have, like I said, they could have had a conversation with someone who they consider a lover, or someone that they feel that deep, abiding connection with, that encouraged them to move forward. That said, don't be concerned about potentially failing. Don't be concerned. I'll still be here for you. Everything's gonna be okay. Or they could have, in their mind, or they could have in their heart, thought, you know, if somebody was there for me, this is how they would act towards me, and this is what I want. So this is what they're doing, and it's going very, very quickly, very, very expedient action in that direction. 7 of Wands in reverse. Yeah, that's great, because this person isn't worried. It doesn't look like they're worried at all about anything, about any of this. It's like they're not even worried of anything happening or anything going wrong. They're not being extra guarded. They may not, I don't want to say they may not know the risks, because that's the Fool card. They may not know the risks, and they may not know. I think that they probably know what potentially could happen if things go wrong, but because they're being encouraged by either a lover or the potential to experience that sort of thing, they're not hesitating on taking the action they want to take and doing what they want to do, combining their passions and trying something new. And they're doing it very, very quickly, because maybe they thought about it for a long time and now it's time to actually do it. Now the opportunity's here. And they're not being extra guarded about it. Like, they're not hanging on to anything from the past, or worrying about anything could happen, or being suspicious of anything. They're not sitting and thinking of what could potentially go wrong. They're just taking the action towards what could be positive for them. And the 2 of Swords, there might be some hesitation mentally. They may actually, even though their actions are showing that they're not concerned and they're not worried and they're not kind of thinking a little too much about it, their mind might be sort of still battling with itself slightly. They might have thoughts of, should I do this, or what could happen, or this person does this, and if I do this, this will happen, or if I do this, like I was saying about that Three of Wands, if I do this, this thing will suffer, and if I do this, what can I do this with over here? Can I do this with that, or can I make it all work? They may still sort of have that lingering self doubt. Ten of Swords. Either somebody experiences some kind of brutal betrayal or brutal ending, or this is something that could have potentially been much worse, sort of comes to an end abruptly and a bit kind of clears the path a little bit for something else. On the bottom of the deck is a Seven of Cups. So there's an aspect of illusion and an aspect of confusion as to what is a concrete decision to make and what is actually realistic. What potentially could be realistic. I feel like somebody got in their head. Because it's like everything was going so good, and then they weren't being paranoid, they weren't being extra protective of themselves, but they were conflicted mentally, so they were second guessing themselves. And then something happened, or something ended, or something did occur that was not necessarily good, or didn't feel necessarily good. And then there's that lack of being able to gauge the realisticness of certain opportunities that are related to fulfillment or related to emotions. Nine of Swords. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I feel kind of bad for this person because things were good, and then something. It's like they started thinking too much about it, and the Ten of Swords doesn't mean self sabotage, but it can mean like something couldn't be sustainable in some way. They're on well, they're kind of confused about what's realistic for them, what they can do, and how to choose what direction to take. Because this person could, because the Three of Wands, it could have been a plan, and the Eight of Wands could have been a little bit too quickly taking motion towards a idea or a sort of a fleeting inspiration, less an actual concrete nailed down plan. And sometimes in the lovers, the passion stirs up, and it can sort of stir up a bit of a desire more than a plan. And sometimes things don't go exactly right if the plan, if it doesn't be according to a certain kind of plan. So I'm going back to that Three of Wands to talk about it for a minute, because if that person wasn't sure about what the next step to take, or if they weren't 100% sure about how to make it work logistically, or if it could actually be applied to what they're currently doing, if that Two of Swords somehow ended up precipitating a Ten of Swords, it could have been from their external environment, and they were already sort of doubting themselves, and then some external experience happens from others or from their environment that gives them a message that says, this is, you can't do this, you can't do this. And then they start feeling like they don't know, or they start thinking they don't know, and there's kind of a bit of a fantasy there. And I don't want to say fantasy, but it's not 100% realistic with the things they're thinking. They're not really even sure what is. So they're still, I think, trying to figure out a way to make that Three of Wands make sense. And then they're in the Nine of Swords, which means they're kind of awake at night, or they're kind of restless mentally. It could be that they're having some sort of like their mind doesn't settle down and they can't focus and they can't sleep, so they could be having some sort of health issue with their mind. This may have been a bit of a hasty action this person took. If they were inspired by a lovers, or if they were doing this because they wanted to be in a relationship with someone, they wanted the lovers, lovers is what they wanted. Um, they could have made a bit of a hasty decision. They could have done something without planning it. And there's sort of finding that their consequences come from sort of being a bit impulsive and not really knowing exactly what they want and not really knowing exactly how to go about getting it. You know, and sometimes it's like okay to be guarded. Um, I misread that, and I don't mind that. I don't mind misreading it. So let me go back and reinterpret it. Sometimes I do. So the Seven of Wands is actually about, well, it actually does have to do with being guarded, so that makes sense still. It's about being put in a corner by other people and having to defend oneself. It sort of seems like in this reading, because it's in reverse, that didn't happen. It's like nobody was opposing. It's like nobody was opposing them. Nobody was like pushing them and telling them to do a certain thing. So it's like they had nobody even there to sort of make them think about it, because no one was opposing their decision. With that Two of Swords and then the Ten of Swords, there could have been something that happened behind the scenes that nobody actually went to them and said anything to them. Something could have happened behind the scenes to create this. With the King of Wands in reverse, yeah, and then this individual, it could be the King of Wands in reverse that went behind the scenes and did something, or uh, wanted to create some sort of anxiety. But it could also just be that this individual is in the King of Wands in reverse energy, where they don't feel powerful, they don't feel like in control, they don't feel inspired, they don't feel creative. They feel like resentful, angry, and ineffective. Eight of Pentacles in reverse. And, well, their money suffers. Yeah, their money suffers because they're not doing the they're sort of stuck in their mind and stuck in their emotions and stuck in that sensation of like being having like an ego wound, and they're not really focusing on their financial stability, and they're not putting the work in to keep working towards their money, so then their money suffers. This whole thing looked like it was sort of on a whim, like someone did something on a whim, and they kind of did themselves some damage, and there could have been other people involved in doing damage to them, but they kind of put themselves in a position where they were more vulnerable to that. So the Six of Wands is some kind of victory, some kind of personal achievement that feels like celebratory, and it can be shared with a bunch of other people as well. So even if they did kind of crash and burn a little bit, they still could be having some sort of victory, or having some sort of feeling of being like winning or getting somewhere or achieving something, even if it didn't look pretty.